friends, it's present wrapping time. So let's go ahead and make our present super special and awesome and be the star of the show for your gift giving this year with these super cute, adorable little leaf accents and different little plants that you can make yourself and then go ahead and add to your presents just to wow and impress all of your gift giving people this year. I'm also going to use them on some place settings as well, just to like make that Christmas place setting super pizzazz. First off, I've got a digital download in my description so that you can go ahead and download all of these patterns so that you can make this at home and cut them on your Cricut, your silhouette, anything you'd like. Or there's PDF patterns in there too, so you can go ahead and throw them on some freezer paper and print them out. And then you can make all of these beautiful stems at home. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So first off, I am doing the, oh my goodness, what are we gonna call it? Like kind of like a pine branch almost. So this one is not a pattern because it's basically all hand cut, but pretty darn basic. I'm taking my really dark green. Obviously you can change all the colors to whatever you want, but I'm doing 1.25 by 12 inch strips here. So each leaf stem is gonna be one of these strips. I'm cutting 4 because I'm doing a lot, but each one is gonna be only one strip, but we're doing 2 stems per bunch. So you're gonna need 2 of these strips for one bunch. And again, you can do it however you want. You can have 3 bunches, you go nuts, go crazy. All right, so the next thing on these ones specifically, because they're like a flared out kind of bristly kind of stem, what I'm gonna do here is stiffen my felt. You can use a lot of different products for stiffening your felt. I really love this Mega Hold hairspray because one, it's super, super cheap and it's an aerosol, so it kind of sprays really, really well and really easy. I always get the unscented because I hate perfumes. I just really, really heavily sprayed all of my felt strips to stiffen them up. You can use fabric stiffener, you can use like homemade stiffener, but this is just easy. These bottles are like $3 at Walmart, so it's hard to beat. So I am spraying both sides of my strips and letting them dry completely. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put these aside and then let them dry. All right, so here is my Cricut mat that I already went ahead and cut all of my leaves for. Love using the Cricut because it just makes really, really nice clean cuts. You can cut out all of your leaves all at once on one mat. I just went ahead and pre-measured what sizes of pieces of strips of felt that I needed and then just kind of organized them on my mat. I did all my leaves in all different shades of green, but again, these are your flowers, they're your stems. You can change it up to whatever you want. We're also gonna need some felt balls. I'm using all 10mm balls, white, pink, and red, and a bunch of wires. So I'm using 22 gauge wire and I'm using 18 gauge wire, as well as some floral tape, my pliers, and of course your handy dandy glue gun. I love my Sharp Bonder glue gun. It is my favorite. All right, first things first, these are 16 inches long and I am cutting them all in half around 8 inches. And they honestly do not have to be perfect. Just kind of gauge it and you can really just cut them as long as you want. But I found about 8 inches was like pretty darn good for me. So on all of these, I'm doing a simple pinch leaf. This is our first little leaf stem that we're gonna work on. And I'm putting a little bit of glue on the base, throwing my wire on and just pinching it on until the glue is set. Then I'm gonna grab a bunch of more of my 22 gauge wire and then I'm gonna cut small little snips. They're about anywhere from 2 to 2.5 inches. And again, you can make them longer or shorter, however you want your leaf kind of to look, or how much you want to grip onto that floral tape. I like to have enough meat on my wire that's getting covered in floral tape so they don't slip out, and do pinch leaves on each and every one of them. I'm doing a total of 7 leaves on this stem. So you have 1 leaf connected to your main stem, and then we have 6 on the 2.5, 3 inch wire. Now we're gonna go ahead and take our floral tape and we're gonna go ahead and assemble our leaf stem. So floral tape, it can be super annoying and it can be kind of sticky. So what I like to do is start it off and then pull tightly and wrap it on itself a few times and activate that wax that's in the middle of it. The more stems you have on there to start with, the easier it is to kind of get it started. Thinner stuff kind of sucks, but go ahead and just start adding your leaves, working your way down and leaving enough that they can kind of flare out, but work your way down all the way around and just keep tightly wrapping that floral tape around as you keep going. And then on the last one, just keep tightly pulling and wrapping that floral tape until you get to the bottom. I like to just kind of flare out all my leaves until you have this super cute, fun leaf stem that's going to add so much pizzazz to my packages. Go ahead and trim off about 2 inches on the bottom. I don't know, it just kind of made it feel a little bit better. All right, let's go ahead and start on our next stem. This is kind of like a holly stem here. And again, we're gonna do that same pinch leaf technique, super, super easy. We're gonna add a little bit of glue on the bottom and add our wire. And then this time we have 4 extra leaves. So this has a total of 5 leaves and 5 berries. So we're gonna go ahead and cut some more wire so that we can add on all of our little doodads. So again, these are about 2.5 inches for all of my little leaf stems. When we go to do the berries, I'll cut them a little bit longer just so that we have a little bit more to pull off of. All right, now let's go ahead and do our berries. This actually came with my Sizzix machine, but it's basically like a little awl or a little pointy stabby thing. And anywho, so I'm gonna grab my felt balls and I am literally going to poke a hole all the way through. You can use an awl, you can use a needle, whatever you have. This kind of actually looks like a little nail, so I mean, if you had a really sharp nail, that works too. We're gonna go ahead and take our wire and fish it all the way through our berry, and I'm taking the very top of the wire and pinching it tight to make a little, very, very small little loop on the bottom. And that's gonna stop our berry from like sliding forward and sliding off of our wire. I'm adding a little bit of glue and then pushing my ball all the way up into the glue and into that little kind of stopper. And it also kind of makes it look a little bit like the little butt of a little berry too, so it kind of works perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this on 5 little berries all together. We're gonna just take our wire, pinch it at the top, put a little hole in it to fish our wire through it. You could also use the wire itself to fish the hole through the felt ball, but it just takes a little bit more effort and work, and I find this goes much faster. All right, last berry, and now we're going to go ahead and start assembling. So I'm taking 2 berries on my main longer stem, and again, we're gonna just wrap it with that floral tape, pull tight first, and then just kind of keep pulling tight and pushing down as hard as you can. And you wanna pull it tight enough where you're stretching out the tape without tearing it. It's definitely a practice thing, and it does definitely get easier. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add on some leaf stems as well. I'm kind of flaring them out as I go to kind of get my spacing correct too, but all I'm doing is I'm just adding them on, twisting them and pulling them out and adjusting them to be exactly where I want. I'm gonna add on some more berries, and you can kind of do this in whatever order you want to, if you want more or less berries, or kind of put the berries where you want them. Definitely totally up to you. This is probably one of my new favorite little stems, and I kind of want to make it bigger too, to have another full stem for bouquets and whatnot too. So definitely on the works. And then once you have your last little wire stem on there, we're just going to go ahead and continue with that floral tape pretty far down, and then go ahead and trim off our excess. Again, I trimmed it. I always like to start with a little extra just in case, and then go ahead and cut it over the floral tape, and it just makes a really, really nice clean edge. And then always, there's so many ridiculous, crazy spider webs, and I'm constantly cleaning up my pieces and adjusting them and putting them exactly where I want them. But I love this one. This is probably one of my new little favorite tiny little holly leaf stems. All right, for our next leaf, we're gonna do kind of like a little mistletoe. It's kind of like a mini mistletoe. So we're gonna go ahead and take these little leaf shapes, and I'm gonna do the same thing again, just another pinch leaf. But this one's gonna be a little tiny different. So we're gonna take 2 more leaves, and we're gonna do a little pinched leaf bottom on these as well, without attaching them to the wire. And then we're gonna attach them next. So similar technique, but a little different. So if you could see on the bottom, there's like a flat side where you pinched it. We're gonna go ahead and add some glue to that point, and then we're going to attach another leaf, that same little area on the bottom that's kind of flat, and then pinch those 2 together. And it kind of looks like little bunny ears right now. But anywho, so we're gonna do 3 leaves on this main stem here, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the same exact thing on the other side. So it's gonna be 3 leaves, and they're all pinched together and glued together at that little flat point. We're gonna go ahead and take one of our little white balls, add some glue to kind of cover up that little seamed area, and throw on a felt ball. I'm sorry, we're gonna throw on 3 felt balls. Isn't it adorable? Anything that's super tiny and cute is super adorable to me. All right, we're gonna go ahead and cut another wire kind of in half about, these ones are gonna be a little bit shorter, so maybe about like 7-ish inches. We're gonna do the exact same thing. On the pattern, there's some larger leaves and smaller leaves. So on these smaller stems, I'm taking 2 of the smaller leaves, and we're gonna do the same thing, and we're gonna pinch them, and we're gonna kind of make those bunny ears on the stem. So I'm making the leaves separate, throwing some glue down, and then we're going to sandwich the wire between the 2 leaves because there's only 2 leaves on this one. I'm gonna go ahead and pinch again, and then we're gonna go ahead and add 1 felt ball kind of at that seam and just kind of cover it up and clean up that little bottom. And we're gonna repeat that same little mini stem with the 2 leaves one more time. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and add all of our stems, kind of arrange them in the lengths that you want them to. If you see at the bottom, they're all kind of mismatched. But I kind of staggered all my leaves so they weren't like perfectly level. And we're gonna go ahead and grab our floral tape, again, pull tight and just wrap them around till you get to the bottom. I didn't go all the way on this one because I definitely wanted it a little bit shorter too, but I'm just gonna arrange my wires and kind of just put my leaves where I want them as well. And that's the beauty of wire. It makes them so versatile and you can just adjust and make the perfect look for them. Trim, and voila, we have a little bit of mini mistletoe. And it's not poisonous, so bonus points. All right, next stem. So this is just gonna be like a little berry stem, and also probably one of my favorites. I know I keep saying that, they're all my favorites, but I kind of love them all. And I really like this one because it brings in some bright colors. It's more pink, it's got the bright green. We are definitely a team bright color Christmas at our house, so adding in some bright pinks and greens are super fun for me. So for this one, it is a berry stem. So we're gonna go ahead and use the same technique that we used on the other berries. And we're going to go ahead and poke a hole. And this is my main stem here. And I'm gonna add a berry, pinch the top with my pliers, make a little loop at the top there, and then go ahead and smush that berry up into the glue. And just, you kind of wanna hold it just there for a second, just to make sure that glue sets and that holds that berry at the top. Be sure to make that little glue blob on the top very small and very clean. That way it doesn't get all yucky and gross because you do kind of see it. We're gonna go ahead and trim some more wire. I am doing 5 berries total on this one, so I need 4 wires. And again, these are about 2.5-ish inches. We're gonna do that same technique and bend and kind of loop that top and pinch it, and go ahead and poke holes in our berries and string them on, wire them on, I don't know, fish them on, but do the exact same thing. All right, time to go ahead and do the exact same thing again with our pinched little leaves, but this time on our leaves. All right, time to assemble. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and kind of stagger again with our berries here, and then we're gonna go ahead and add those leaves on the very bottom. So take your floral tape, and we're gonna add 1 berry at a time and just kind of tightly wrap again and line that up and get that, I don't know, taped on. So again, I'm gonna take my berries and I'm gonna kind of stagger them down, kind of going around in a circle and making them a little bit lower each time as well. Once I get to the last berry, I'm gonna go ahead and add on my leaves. And this one I'm actually doing pretty darn close to the stem because I don't want it flared out so much. And then I'm gonna go down a few rotations and then bring that next leaf in as well, and then tape all the way to close to the bottom, and then go ahead and trim. Now the fun part, we get to go ahead and space out bring our leaves out and bring our berries out to complete our cute and sweet and adorable little berry stem. Love it. All right, last one. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get those stiffened green felt strips from earlier, and we're gonna go ahead and make really, really fine little snips in them. And this is why you want your felt strip to be stiffened, because you definitely want these little fringes not to kind of break and pull off, and you want them to kind of like flare out and stick out enough. And if they're too soft and flimsy, they might just kind of get yanked off really easy and might not do exactly what you want. They'll kind of like get a little too fluffy. So the stiff felt is very, very key into making this stem. So I am cutting them as thin as I can without being obviously too thin that they're gonna break. And I'm leaving about 1/4 of an inch on the bottom of this. So I'm cutting about 1 inch down, since our leaf strips were 1.25 inches by 12 inches. And you're gonna go ahead and do this all the way down the entire full 12-inch strip. And you're gonna go ahead and do this twice as well. Ta-da! So we have 2 of these now. Now we're gonna go ahead and take our wire here again. We're gonna fold it over in half. This time we're not gonna pinch it. We're gonna leave a loop and kind of anchor it into one of our like fringe pieces, so it goes all the way in the bottom. You're gonna take your pliers and then go ahead and pinch it tight on there. And that's just gonna really, really secure this piece to your wire and then make sure it doesn't fall off. Now I'm gonna add some glue and we're gonna just start rolling this. You're gonna wanna roll it a little bit tight. And I'm actually using 18 gauge wire for this one so that it has a little bit of grip and girth to help roll this stem, because it can be really, really tricky if you're using really, really thin wire. The key is to work really slow when you're doing this, because if you go too fast, you might miss a step and then it might come out a little bit wonky. So I only like to glue about 1 inch-ish, maybe 2 at most, at a time, and really, really work my way through. And I'm also making sure I'm pushing tight around the bottom, and that's gonna make that flared leaf look. If you just kind of leave it flat, then it might not flare out like you want a good little, what is it, pine branch, or what do you, I don't know what you call it. It's like a little pine branch, a little noble fir branch. But again, I'm just gonna keep adding some glue very slowly, wrap around the bottom, and really, really pinch it on the bottom tightly as you work your way around. And again, I'm also working kind of at an angle, so that way it's like rolling straight down versus kind of rolling on itself. I'm sure that's a little obvious, but just to be clear, I am angling it down a little bit as I go. And then I just pinch that bottom really, really good and kind of close off that stem. And there you go. It's a little birch stem. It's a little, I'm using my darkest green felt here, so it's a little hard to see the details, but it looks really, really amazing and fantastic in person. So we're gonna go ahead and do that again on a second stem. Make an opened loop that we can kind of hook in and then pinch with our pliers and close it off, and then do the exact same thing. We're just gonna glue and roll all the way down. It's always good at the end to go ahead and kind of refluff, grab all those nasty little spider webs out that are so annoying from your glue, and that's always the meticulous, boring part. But I like to clean them up, kind of freshen up my little leaf stems, kind of flare them out a little bit more if they didn't kind of flare on their own. And this is the key when they're stiff, you know, that at least when you kind of flare them out, they'll definitely stay in place and not feel like you're gonna accidentally rip them off. We're gonna go ahead and grab our other leaf stem, and we're gonna go ahead, I like to stagger these. I want one a little bit longer than the other because I don't want them perfectly flat together. And then we're gonna take our floral tape again and just wrap these bad boys up. Ta-da! Isn't she lovely? And then we can just adjust, move our wires wherever we want to make it perfect. These would be great with little bows on them too, but since I'm putting them in packages that already have bows on them, I left them as is. Now is the perfect time to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you do not miss any of my videos, because I am hitting you up with videos every week on making beautiful felt flowers, felt crafts, and all the fun stuff. So be sure to do that and follow along and leave a comment on how you're gonna use these cute little leaf patterns in your Christmas season. All right, let's go ahead and check out all the beautiful leaves that we made today, and be sure to snag that digital download and take a gander at all my other digital downloads on my website so that you can definitely help support my channel so I can keep making more videos like this for you and also make these awesome leaves at home.